Vince McMahon has turned WWE into the behemoth it is today. It is undoubtedly his creation and he will always be associated with the company. However, there is a large contingent of the WWE Universe that is clamoring for Triple H to take complete control over the WWE. Whether they believe that McMahon has lost touch with audiences or whether they feel that Triple H is better suited to carry the company forward, the case for Triple H to take over completely is a strong one. Even if Triple H won't be taking complete control in the near future, the transition is well underway, with Trips primarily functioning in a backstage role with occasional forays into the ring. The day when Vince McMahon steps down is coming, so let's take a look into the future and check out 10 things Triple H would do if he completely took over the WWE. Just look at 205 Live's journey and you will see it's obvious that Vince and Triple H have very different visions for the show. McMahon has always been known to be a big fan of muscular wrestlers, and there is little room for the smaller guy, and giving the smaller guy its own division isn't even worth contemplating. While Triple H is from the same era where big men ran the wrestling world, he has also witnessed the changing of the guard, so maybe he is more willing to give the wrestlers of all shapes and sizes a chance. Triple H saw the potential in the cruiserweights and was very hands-on in bringing the Cruiserweight Classic to life on the WWE Network, but when McMahon took over the control of the cruiserweights and almost ran 205 Live into the ground with the same gimmicks and storylines that sometimes make the main roster such a drag, it is now back in the hands of Triple H, and it's not surprising to see the cruiserweights are finally starting to find their groove. Smaller guys like Adam Cole and Ricochet will one day run the wrestling world, and Triple H is savvy enough to see that coming, so putting good money on the cruiserweight division being pushed to the moon is a safe bet. We live in the era of the cool heels. Most main roster heels are often cheered more than babyfaces because their agenda usually makes more sense than the good guy who is standing in his way. Just take a look at the feud between Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman. Owens is the heel who just wants to do his job and give his family a good life, and Strowman is the face who has spent weeks taking immense pleasure in making Owens' life a living hell. Something just isn't right there, but that's the main roster. Over on NXT, you know exactly who's good and who's bad. No one is going to be cheering for Tommaso Ciampa anytime soon because he's just so easy to hate. The Miz is perhaps the only true heel left on the main roster, capable of generating himself nuclear heat and elevating the babyface he's up against in the process. Wrestlers such as Bobby Roode, Sami Zayn, and Bayley have floundered on the main roster, where they don't even have a role for months on end. NXT is Triple H's brainchild, so there is no doubt he will implement the same blueprint on the main roster when he takes over. If anyone argues that Vince has not begun to lose touch with the wants of the fans, point out the fact that Roman Reigns has been pushed as the face of the brand for about 4 years and he's only just stopped being booed out of the buildings. Vince has always maintained that the WWE Universe will tell him what's popular, but despite fan outrage on numerous occasions, Vince seemingly is intent to stick to his guns and hand opportunity after opportunity to his favorites. There is no guarantee that things will be any better if Triple H takes over, but looking at NXT proves that Trips will change things up as needed. Bo Dallas was just another generic babyface before he was repackaged as a grating heel and became NXT champion. No one cared about Bayley until she carved herself a niche as the hugger until Triple H's watchful eye. This proves that under Triple H, those who can't get over will be sent to the back of the line to make way for those who have found their voice and connected with the universe. Triple H has proved that talent can get over after starting at the bottom. He was the scapegoat of the infamous curtain call, but he managed to work his way up the ladder and become one of the best ever. Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson have acted as McMahon's right-hand men since the first WrestleMania. Both men should be lauded for their loyalty to the company and boss, but once Triple H takes over, he will probably want to appoint his own right-hand men. Using his vast experience would be a smart move, but Tripp still needs his own entourage. Road Dogg has become a big part of the shows Triple H produces, and Shawn Michaels is his eyes and ears in NXT. The transition has already begun, but Trips will probably want to appoint a few more guys who will be as loyal to him as Briscoe and Patterson are to McMahon. Comedy will always have a place in the world of sports entertainment. Comedy segments are usually a brief reprieve from the sometimes dense WWE programming, and the shows become increasingly longer. Comedy is needed more than ever to lighten things up, but main roster comedy segments too often veer into juvenile territory. For every hilarious segment with The New Day, you'll have Seth Rollins mocking McIntyre and insinuating bestiality. Or worse, you'll get something like the segment involving Sami Zayn and Bobby Lashley's sisters. This comedy is a byproduct of the main roster, and ask yourself the last time you came across such a segment over on NXT. Really, take your time. We may not realize it at the moment, but getting to see Triple H step into the ring is a treat for the universe. He usually only steps into the ring around WrestleMania season and tends to be involved in the biggest segments of that show. But once he takes control over WWE, there's only so much he could have on his plate at a time. He's a father of 3 and is seen as a father figure to a number of younger stars backstage. Being an active in-ring competitor and running the company will probably be a little too much for Trips. Being an active in-ring competitor and also running the company just seems improbable, so I would expect Triple H to retire after he takes control. It's not like money will be a problem. His new salary and job title should cover things up quite nicely. Raw is currently 3 hours long, and WWE's Big 4 pay-per-views run anywhere between 5 to 7 hours. That's a whole lot of wrestling to sit through. Raw is often criticized for being a bloated show, with a lot of segments clearly just filler. Pay-per-views tend to have packed cards and 2-hour kickoff shows, so by the time the main event rolls around, audiences are too tired to give much of a reaction. SmackDown Live and NXT are shorter in duration and therefore better paced shows. Increasing the length of shows is understandable from an economic perspective. The longer the show, the more ads you can air, the more money you're paid. But this cannot come at the expense of the quality of the final product. Look at Trips' NXT model show. There's little to no room for fluff, and expect the main roster to follow suit. Regardless of what Triple H's view of part-timers may be, they are a recent phenomenon. Look back to the glory days of the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era, you will find it so easy to list off a number of superstars who could carry WWE programming on their backs. That is no longer the case. WWE is trying to make new stars but keeps undercutting their achievements by bringing in part-timers like Lesnar and Goldberg to take up marquee spots. Of course, we have to acknowledge that bringing in stars like The Rock and Goldberg would boost ticket sales tremendously, but WWE is in such a position to begin with because it's been able to consistently build new stars. Triple H will probably not follow this model and instead turn his attention to making new stars that can take WWE forward for years to come. There was a time when WWE stars were only given general points to hit during a promo. They were given the option to improvise and really let their personality shine. Today's superstars are not afforded that same luxury. They have to spew fully scripted promos verbatim, which make them come across as unnatural and really disingenuous. Of course, you can look no further than Roman Reigns' infamous Suffer and Succotash promo. Again, the disparity between NXT and the main roster is obvious, as NXT still follows the old style of allowing the talent to improvise as needed, leading to much better promos and character interactions. The WWE will never have another Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson if it keeps feeding its superstars every single word in their promos. NXT has already been mentioned a bunch of times, and the reason is simple. NXT is Triple H's baby. In a lot of respects, NXT is more popular with the WWE Universe than the main roster. Triple H has built a program capable of competing with the main roster with talent that is for all intents and purposes still learning what it means to be a WWE star. There is no doubt that Triple H wants NXT to stand toe-to-toe with Raw and SmackDown, and he will probably do it by getting NXT a TV deal and moving it off the WWE network. NXT is proof of everything Triple H has done right as an executive, and once he takes over, he will probably do all it takes to show off his creation to the world. And these are 10 things Triple H would do if he completely took over the WWE. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching Wrestling Hub, and I'll see you later with more videos.